If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
He's here, and he is doing his 5 minutes. It is part 2 of our Baltimore Sports Media Idol competition. 5 minutes, you're on the clock.
Thank you. Good morning, Baltimore. This is Terry Cook, a.k.a. Be More TLC. Hey, how can I start this morning without talking about the white-hot pitching of the Baltimore Orioles? I think if we look over the last 30 days, ERA of 3.69, which is somewhere around 5th in the AL. Really looking good. You come into this weekend and give up 1 run to the Angels. That is just filthy. Listen, the Angels aren't the offensive juggernaut that they once were. No Vlad, Kendra Morales is down, but this is still a Mike Scioscia-run ball club that's going to hustle. They're going to do whatever they can to produce runs, and they were at home. So you go out west and sweep this team. I think it sets the tone and really helps that clubhouse attitude that we are going to try to win coming down the stretch. I mean, look at Friday. Burgess kept his sinker down, and he pitched a masterful game. Millwood on Saturday night threw one of his patented, please put me on waivers type performances. I can still pitch, get me out of here type deals. Sorry, Kev, I think you're probably here for the rest of the year, but hopefully we can get a couple more of those performances coming down the stretch. And then what else can you say about Guthrie yesterday? I know you said 4 hits, but coming into the 8th, I think he only had 2 hits. Walked 1 batter, got a couple bloop hit, and had to be pulled from the game, so didn't get his first complete game shutout, but still fantastic performance, as good as I've ever seen him. And again, these are the types of things that are looking good coming down the stretch, and winning baseball. Hey, this weekend, the Orioles locked in a winning record in August for the first time since 1997. Now, I know everybody knows, hey, we haven't had a winning record since 1997, but to think that the Orioles haven't had a winning record in August since 1997 is ridiculous. We've been so used to the late season collapses and the 8, 10, 12 game losing streaks in August that maybe we've forgotten how long it's actually been to lose, or to win, I should say, this late in the year. And hey, we still could have that collapse. September call-ups are going to happen in the next couple days. The season's going to be winding down, and there's going to be a lot more losses. But again, this winning attitude that the club is presenting, it's going to show these younger kids that are coming up and the kids that are going to be here next year that we are here to fight every single day, and this is what you're going to have to do to win. I think Buck has a lot to do with that. If I could only ask one more thing out of Buck to finish out this year, is if he could get Fat Albers on a treadmill, I think that would just really close out the year and bring this kid into 2011 and be a strong, dominant reliever it looks like he could be. I'd be as happy, or tickled pink, I should say, with Buck's performance. Let's switch gears a little bit. I know everybody's going to talk Raven football, so I'm not going to do that. I do want to talk about some horse racing because it was a big racing weekend. You had the Travers on Saturday, and then you had the Personal Ensign yesterday with a lot of big contenders for the Breeders' Cup. That's coming up in November at Churchill Downs. We're starting to make the final push here, where a lot of these horses are only going to have 1, maybe 2 more races before then. So the picture's kind of coming together as to who's going to be there and what's going to happen. It's really been shaping up all year to be one of the biggest Breeders' Cup Classics maybe ever, with superstars in Yada undefeated, not retiring and staying in training and keep continuing her winning ways. She's going to try to come back and defend her title against the boys. And then, of course, you had 2009 rock star Rachel Alexandra, looking like that was going to be the matchup coming into this year. You've had Quality Road running really well this year. I think he's probably the horse to beat, but Blaine just beat him. Put up just a similar performance, so that's going to be great. Saturday's race, the Travers, which a lot of people call the Midsummer Derby, it's a big race at Saratoga. You're going to get a lot of your horses from the Triple Crown Trail. You had Super Saver, Kentucky Derby winner, hasn't really done much since. He really needed to do something in this race to prove his worth and try to get to the Classic. You also had Fly Down, who was kind of a late bloomer, horse that finished second in the Belmont, and then he's been there but still needs that signature win to move forward. And Icebox wins the Florida Derby. He finishes second in the Kentucky Derby. Again, another horse that need to solidify his chances to get into the Breeders' Cup Classic. When the race was all said and done, really only Fly Down comes out of this race looking like he's going to move forward to the Classic. He finishes second by a nose to an Irish bred persistently. Was a great race. looks like he's going to continue to go forward. I don't know that any of the other horses are really going to do anything. Super Saver probably going to be retired from here. He's a Kentucky Derby winner. If you keep losing races, that really just diminishes the value of his breeding. So I see him going to standing stud and not really moving forward from here. And then the other race that you had was the Personal Ensign yesterday, which is a big race for Rachel Alexandra. She kind of, was put on the shelf early last year and then got a late start in training this year, and then hasn't really been the same horse that people saw and fell in love with last year. She's been running really well, but she's run 4 times, 2 seconds, 2 wins, but again, never really that strong performances. Goes in yesterday to a 1.25 mile race, first time she's ever run that distance. That's the same distance as the Breeders' Cup Classic, and she winds up losing, hits a wall at 1 1/8. So you're going to have a lot of questions in that stable as well. Is she going to be able to go to the Classic, or is she just going to, go to the Breeders' Cup Ladies Classic? So a lot of questions still up in the air, a lot of things to decide for a lot of stables going into. But either way, it's going to be a great Breeders' Cup coming up in November. A lot of good things to look for in the next couple weeks. I think I'm out of time. Got a lot more to talk about, but again, you can check me out at WNST.net. On Barstool Blogs, Be More TLC Cares. Of course, listen to me on 1570 AM WNST, or check it out on Twitter and Audio Vault at WNST.net. Thank you.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.